The desert winds howled like lost souls. Sand flew through the air, sharp and dry, stinging the eyes of the lone human walking through the wasteland. His name was Jace, a scrap hunter. Each day he searched the dead parts of the world, looking for metal, wires, or old tech to sell. But today, he found something else. Jace stepped over a broken wing of a long-dead shuttle and stopped. There, half covered in red dust, was a shape. Not metal, not machine. It was a body. He moved closer, cautious. It was a girl, a young alien woman. Her skin was pale silver, almost glowing in the sunlight. Her dress was torn. Her arms were scratched. One foot was bare. She wasn't moving. "Damn," Jace whispered. "She's still breathing." He dropped to one knee. She was alive, but barely. Her lips were cracked, her eyes half open but dull. Sand clung to her lashes like frost. She tried to speak, but her voice was dry as paper. Only one word came out. "Please." That was all. Jace looked around. No one in sight. No footprints, no ships. She had been left here, abandoned, left to die under the sun. Without another thought, Jace picked her up in his arms. She was light, too light. Her head fell against his chest and her body trembled with cold. Even in the heat, she was freezing. Back at Jace's small shelter, a rusted bunker hidden under rocks, he placed her gently on the mattress. The bunker had old heating coils and a water tank. Jace grabbed a cup, filled it, and brought it to her lips. She drank, slowly. Her hands were shaking. For a long time she didn't speak. She just stared at him, confused, afraid. Finally she whispered, "Why? Did you help me?" Jace raised an eyebrow. "Would you rather I left you in the dust?" She flinched, eyes wide like she expected that answer. "I didn't mean it," he added quickly. "You were dying. I couldn't just walk away." She looked down. Her voice was small. Everyone else did. That night the wind roared outside. Inside the bunker it was quiet. Jace sat near the heater, fixing a broken radio. The alien girl lay on the mattress covered in a soft blanket. Her eyes were open, watching him. "You have a name?" Jace asked. She shook her head slowly. "No name at all? They called me Broken," she said. He frowned. "That's not a name, that's an insult." She looked away. He stood, walked over, and sat beside her. "Then I'll call you something else." She blinked. "Let's try Star," he said. "You fell from the sky, didn't you?" A small smile touched her lips. The first he'd seen. Star. Later that night, Jace woke up to soft footsteps. He sat up quickly, hand on his tool knife, but it was just Star. She stood near, his bed wrapped in the blanket. Her eyes were wide and uncertain. "I'm cold," she whispered. Jace looked at her for a moment. Then he moved over, patting the empty side of the bed. "You can rest here, just sleep." She didn't move. "I won't touch you," he added. "I'm not that kind of man." Slowly, Star lay down beside him. She was still shaking. She curled, up, facing away from him, but close. Close enough to feel the heat of his body. She whispered so softly, he almost didn't hear it. "Just don't leave me." Jace's chest tightened. He didn't know what had happened to her. He didn't know why she was alone or why someone would throw her away like garbage. But he knew one thing now. She was broken, hurt, scared, and somehow, he was the only person who hadn't left her behind. Morning came slowly in the wasteland. Inside, the small bunker, soft light filtered through the dusty air vents. Jace sat on a crate, staring at the alien girl still wrapped in his blanket. She was curled up like a frightened animal, her arms pulled close to her chest, her silver skin bruised in many places. She hadn't moved much, just breathed. Quietly. Carefully. When her eyes opened, they were dull, like they had seen too much pain. "Sleep okay?" Jace asked. She nodded slowly but didn't speak. Jace walked to the heater and poured warm water into a small tin bowl. He set it down in front of her with some old food packs. You can eat, it's not much, but it's clean. The girl looked at the food but didn't reach for it. Instead, she asked in a soft voice, "Why are you kind to me?" Jace sat beside her. "Because someone has to be." She blinked at that. "Not true. Many passed me by. Even my own people." Jace paused. "You were abandoned on purpose?" She nodded. "Thrown out." He frowned. "But why?" She looked down. Her fingers trembled as she picked at the edge of the blanket. "They said I was useless, too weak, a failure." She didn't cry. Not once, but her voice cracked like dry stone breaking. Jace leaned back against the wall. "You're not useless, you're still alive. That means something." She turned to him, almost unsure if she had heard him right. "No one's ever said that to me." "Then they're all idiots." Jace muttered. "You have a brain, 2 hands, a beating heart. That's more than some scavengers out here." She tilted her head slightly. "What do they call you?" "Jace." "What does that mean?" "Nothing fancy," he said with a chuckle. "Just Jace, my mother named me." A silence stretched between them. Then she whispered, "I have no name." The words hit Jace harder than he expected. "No name at all?" She shook her head. "They only called me Sample 712. That was my cage tag." Jace felt his jaw clench. "That's not a name, that's a number for lab rats." She nodded once blankly. "Well, screw that," he said. "You're not a number anymore." She blinked. He thought for a moment, then said, "I called you Star yesterday. I think it fits." She repeated it quietly. "Star. You like it?" A faint warmth passed through her voice. "It sounds like hope." They spent the day quietly. Jace cleaned parts from an old drone he found last week. Star stayed in bed but watched everything with alert eyes. "Where are we?" she asked. "Middle of nowhere," Jace replied. "Technically Old Earth Colony 8, but nobody calls it that anymore. Just ruins now." She looked around. "It's safe here, mostly, as long as no patrols fly over or scavenger gangs get close." At that, her expression changed. She sat up, alert. "Gangs? Ships?" Jace noticed her hands curl tightly around the blanket. "What's wrong? If they find me, they'll take me back." "To who?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "The Collectors." Jace's stomach turned. Everyone on the outer edges had heard of the Collectors, an alien faction known for experiments, trade, and genetic testing. They took things. People, bodies. They didn't ask, they didn't explain. "You escaped them?" he asked. "I didn't escape," she said, voice shaking. "I was discarded. Left to die because I was wrong." Jace stared at her. What does wrong even mean to them? Star didn't answer. She just looked away. Then she added something strange. "They said I couldn't bear offspring strong enough, so they left me." Jace felt something twist inside him. "That's not wrong, that's cruel." That night, Star didn't wait for an invite. When Jace turned in to sleep, she quietly walked to his side and lay beside him without a word. She didn't touch him, just stayed close. Close enough to hear his heartbeat. "Do you trust me?" he asked gently. Star's eyes were half closed. "No." "Fair," he said. "But I want to," she added. A pause. "I don't understand humans," she whispered. "You will." She looked at him. "Why do you help someone like me?" Jace stared at the ceiling. "Because you were cold, alone, and asking not to be left behind." Star's voice trembled as she whispered, almost to herself. "I'll warm your bed, human. Just don't leave me." 3 days had passed. The winds outside had quieted, but inside the bunker the air felt heavier, like something dangerous was near. Jace could feel it in his bones. Star had begun to walk again, though slowly. She still looked weak, but her eyes had more life now. She spent her time near the old heater or watching Jace repair circuits and power cells. Sometimes she asked small questions. Other times, she sat quietly and listened. But today, she seemed different, tense. Her eyes kept moving toward the ceiling as if she could hear something above them, something he couldn't. "Star," Jace said gently, "what's going on?" She didn't answer right away. She just kept staring at the roof. Then she whispered, "They've found me." Jace stood up fast. "Who?" "The collectors." Jace's hand went to the tool belt beside his cot. He didn't carry real weapons, just old wrenches, a sharpened wire cutter, and a flare gun. "They never stop," she continued, voice low. "Even if they throw you away, they still watch in case you're needed later, in case something changes." Jace frowned. "They want you back now, after all that?" Star nodded once. "They found out I still live, that I'm still fertile. I was left for dead, but now I'm a resource again." She looked at him with fear in her silver eyes. "They don't see people, Jace, only value." Jace swore under his breath. He moved quickly to a hidden panel near the entrance of the bunker. Behind it were old scanners and a battered radar screen. Normally it picked up weather shifts or sandstorms. But today, it blinked red. "Damn it," he muttered. "There's a drone sweeping the area." Star stood, her body tense. "They always send drones first, then hunters, then cages." "We're not waiting that long," Jace said. "We're moving." "Where?" "There's an old transport cave about 5 clicks west. It's tight, but ships can't fly in there." "2. Rocky." Star hesitated. "You're risking your life for me again?" He turned to her and said firmly, "I'm not leaving you." They packed fast. Jace threw energy bars and tools into his bag. Star wrapped herself in a thick cloak he gave her. Her steps were slow, but she didn't complain. Outside, the air was cold and dry. The sun had begun to set, painting the wasteland in blood-red colors. As they moved through rocky ground, Jace kept checking the sky. Nothing yet, but then, a sound. Not thunder, not wind. It was the loud, high-pitched whir of anti-grav. "Engines." Star froze. "That's them." Jace grabbed her hand. "Run." They sprinted between the broken hills. The terrain was rough, full of sharp stones and metal debris. Jace pulled her forward, breathing hard. Star stumbled once but kept going. Then they saw it, a small opening in the rock wall, almost hidden. "Inside!" Jace shouted. They ducked in just as a scout ship screamed overhead. Inside, it was dark and damp. The cave twisted down into deeper rock. Jace switched on a small light from his wristband. They kept moving deeper and deeper until the light from the outside disappeared. Only then did they stop to catch their breath. Star leaned against the wall, trembling. "They won't stop, Jace. Not until they take me." Jace stepped closer. "Let them try. I'm not afraid of them." "You should be." He looked into her eyes. "You're not property, Star. You're a person, and I protect what's mine." Silence hung between them for a long time. Then she whispered, "Mine?" Jace hesitated. I didn't mean it like that." But Star touched his hand gently. Her voice was small but calm. "I want to be." He looked at her, surprised. "You saved me. You gave me warmth. You looked at me like I'm real. I don't know what love is, Jace, but if it means staying with you, I want that." Jace didn't know what to say. He just nodded, heart pounding. "Then stay," he said softly. "Stay with me." Far above, outside the cave, red lights scanned the earth. A ship hovered, and a voice crackled through a communicator. "Target not located. Thermal trail lost. She may be with a local. Continue sweep." But inside the rock, hidden deep where scanners couldn't see, an abandoned alien girl sat beside a human man who had no riches, no power, only warmth in his arms and a promise not to leave her. And for the first time in her life, she believed him. The cave was cold, but not as cold as silence. Jace and Star sat together in the narrow space, their backs against the rough stone wall. A soft light from his wristband flickered across her silver skin. It was quiet now. No ships, no drones. Only the sound of breathing and the occasional drip of water from above. Star stared at the flame Jace had made from his tiny heat pod. The glow danced in her eyes, but her face stayed blank. Jace had seen that look before, in broken machines that would never work again. But Star wasn't a machine. She was something far more fragile and far more alive. "You haven't asked," Star said suddenly. Jace looked up. "Asked what?" She didn't. Turned toward him. Her voice was low. "What they did to me, why I was thrown away, why I'm not like others." Jace said nothing. He waited. Star breathed in as if the air itself was heavy. "I was born in a lab, bred to serve a purpose. They never wanted me to speak, to feel, or to think. I was just a body, a vessel." She looked down at her hands, small, delicate, shaking. "But I wasn't perfect. My DNA didn't match their expectations. I couldn't reproduce the way they wanted. So they called me broken and sent me to the desert to die." Jace clenched his fists. "That's not broken. That's called being alive. Different doesn't mean worthless." Star looked at him slowly, as if seeing him for the first time. "But to them, if you can't produce soldiers or servants, you're waste. I wasn't strong, I wasn't fast, and I cried too much." She gave a small, broken laugh. "I cried when they took my sister away. She was like me, quiet, soft. They called her Success and gave her to a war general. She begged for me, reached for me. But they took her." She paused. "Later I heard she was destroyed, after she gave birth." Jace felt something burn in his chest. "I'm sorry," he said. It sounded small, weak, but it was all he had. Star nodded slowly. "I thought death would be easier, but then you found me." She turned fully toward him now. "Why didn't you leave me, Jace? You could have taken my body, sold me, traded me, that's what others do. But you gave me water, heat, a name." Jace looked into her eyes. "Because I don't care what you were made for. You're not a tool. You're a person. You matter." Tears touched her eyes but didn't fall. She smiled instead, just a little. "I still don't know what I'm supposed to be." "Be what you want," Jace replied, "not what they designed." He leaned forward, gently brushing a hand against her cheek. She flinched, out of habit, not fear, but didn't pull away. "You're not broken," he said softly. "You're just free now." Later, as they rested, Star curled beside him again. But this time, it was different. She didn't tremble. She didn't whisper out of fear. She leaned her head on his chest and closed her eyes. "Jace? Yeah? I feel something strange inside. Not pain, something warm." Jace chuckled gently. "That's called comfort. Is that what humans give?" He nodded. "The good ones, yeah." Star was quiet for a while. Then she said something he didn't expect. "If I was made to give life, and then I want to give it freely. Not because they told me to, but because I choose." She looked up at him. "I would choose you." Jace didn't know what to say. She was fragile, hurt. Just starting to understand freedom, but she was also stronger than she knew. He held her close and whispered, "Then we'll choose each other." Outside the cave, the wind picked up again, but inside, for the first time in her life, Star felt warm. Not just in her body, but deep in her heart. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was healing, and this time, she was not alone. The cave that once felt like a safe nest had turned into a tomb. Jace woke with a start. Something had changed in the air. The ground was still, but the silence was wrong, too deep, too hollow. He sat up quickly, heart pounding, reaching for the scanner on his wrist. Red blips, 4 of them. Moving, fast. Star stirred beside him, her silver eyes opening slowly. She looked peaceful for a moment until she saw his face. "What's wrong?" she asked. "They found us," he said, voice tight. "The cave isn't safe anymore." Star didn't ask questions. She sat up, pulled the cloak around her, and stood without hesitation. "Then we run." Jace slung the gear bag over his shoulder and grabbed her hand. Together they moved deeper into the tunnels. The only light came from the wrist scanner, barely enough to see 2 steps ahead. Behind them, the whirring hum of anti-grav boots echoed faintly. "They sent hunters this time," Star whispered. Jace glanced back. "How many kinds do they have?" "2. Many. But if they sent the silver class and they don't plan to take me alive." That made Jace move faster. The tunnel opened into a narrow drop, almost a cliff. Jace looked down. "It's deep, but if we climb, we can lose them." He jumped first, catching a jagged edge. Star followed, her body quick despite the pain. The rocks tore into their hands, but neither stopped. For an hour they climbed, crawled, and slipped through forgotten caverns. Water dripped from the walls. Strange fungus glowed faintly in places. They passed bones, alien, human, others, and old tech wreckage long swallowed by time. Then, light. Not fire. Not scanners. Sunlight. They stumbled out through a crack in the rocks onto an open plain. Rough, desert but free sky. Star fell to her knees, breathing hard. Jace dropped beside her. "We made it," he said. But Star's face twisted. "No, they let us run." Jace's eyes shot wide. "What?" "They're watching us, pushing us somewhere, hurting." A loud hum exploded from the canyon behind them. Then a second one. In front. 2 ships. Closing in. Star stood slowly, her face pale. "They want to corner me, force a choice." "Then we make our own choice," Jace said, drawing the flare gun from his belt. Star stared at the small, weak weapon. "That's not enough to stop them." "It's not meant to," he replied. "It's a message." He fired into the sky. The red flame exploded like a small sun above them. Far off, on a different hill, another red light blinked back. Star's eyes widened. "Who was that?" "A traitor I helped months ago," Jace said. "Owed me a favor." He watches the skies. The ships didn't wait. One dropped soldiers, tall figures in silver armor moving like machines. Star stepped back, her legs shaking. Jace stood in front of her. "I'm not letting you take her," he shouted. The soldiers aimed weapons. Then suddenly, Munam. A blast from above. A small skiff roared in, engines screaming. It dropped a rope ladder. At the controls was an old alien woman with glowing goggles and a grin. "Took you long enough," Jace yelled. "Didn't want to interrupt your date," the pilot shouted back. Jace lifted Star, helping her climb the rope ladder. Energy bolts flew past them, burning the air. A beam grazed his back, but he didn't stop until she was safe aboard. Then he jumped in after her. The skiff shot upward. Below, the collector soldiers aimed, but the ship was too fast. Star trembled, gripping Jace's arm. "They won't stop," she said. "Then we don't stop either," he replied. "We'll find a place they can't reach, and if they come, they'll wish they hadn't." She leaned against him, breathing hard. "They think I'm weak. But they never saw what you gave me." He looked at her. "What's that?" "Something stronger than fear." They flew into the clouds, smoke trailing behind them, but not defeat. Not this time. They had no real home, no army, no power. But they had each other. And sometimes, that was enough to burn down an empire. The desert below became nothing but clouds and distance. The skiff flew for hours, low and quiet, weaving through mountain ranges and rocky ridges where satellites couldn't scan. Jace sat beside Star, his back aching from the blast burn. Her hand never left his. The old pilot, named Gora, grinned through the smoke of her cigar as she flew. "You still pick up the strangest strays, Jace." "She's not a stray," he said. Star looked at him with a soft smile. "No," she added quietly. "I'm his." They landed at sunset. Far below the main grid zones, hidden deep in the canyons, stood the rusting skeleton of an old colony ship. Its hull was broken, cracked from age. Nature had taken back parts of it, roots growing through vents, moss creeping across the walls. "Welcome to the wreck," Gora said. "No power, no comfort, but no eyes." Star stepped out of the skiff and looked around. "It's quiet. Too quiet," Jace muttered, scanning the area. But Star didn't seem afraid. She walked slowly into the wreck's main corridor, dragging her fingers along the metal wall. "This place is forgotten," she said. "Like me." "Not forgotten," Jace said. "Waiting." Inside, they made a home. One of the rooms, still, had a sealed hatch. They cleared the dust, repaired a few panels, and installed a heater using spare parts. Jace even fixed a signal scrambler to block tracking tech. They slept close again under blankets and metal plating. One night, Star stood in front of a broken mirror. Her silver hair fell across her shoulders. Her skin still showed scars. She touched them gently. "I used to think these marks made me ugly." Jace sat nearby. "They don't." She turned to him. "What do they make me?" He walked over, placed his hand on hers, and said softly, "Alive." In the wreck's workshop, Jace rebuilt old tools, repaired drones, and restored pieces of tech left behind. Star sat nearby, learning everything he did. She was smart, faster than anyone he'd ever seen. She didn't just copy, she improved. "You ever built something before?" he asked. "No. I was told to lie still. To obey. Not to think." He handed her a screwdriver. "Well, we're not doing that here." She smiled. Really smiled. Days passed, and something strange began to grow in Star. Strength. Color returned to her cheeks. Her steps became sure, her voice more steady. The pain in her body started to fade, and with it, the fear. But one morning she didn't wake up early. She lay still, shivering. Jace rushed to her side. "Star, hey, wake up." Her skin was hot. Too hot. She opened her eyes weakly. "I don't feel right." Her body convulsed slightly. Jace's hands shook as he reached for his scanner. The UA results flashed red. Her system was collapsing. Old genetic restraints, triggers buried deep in her body, probably planted by the collectors, were reactivating. No, no, no. He worked through the night. Star drifted in and out of consciousness, whispering his name, crying softly in her sleep. Jace searched the shipwreckage for anything. Tools, nanobots, old meds, and then deep inside the medical bay, he found it, a regeneration pod. Broken, but not beyond hope. He hauled it back piece by piece, welded parts, rewired circuits, begged the damn thing to work. Finally, hours later, it hummed to life. He placed her inside. Her fingers brushed his. "Jace," she whispered. "I'm here," he said, voice rough. "You stay with me, you hear? I trust you." The pod closed. Light pulsed. For the next 2 hours, Jace didn't move. He just sat there, hand resting on the pod's glass. When it finally opened, she was breathing steady, calm. Her skin no longer burned. The weakness had left her. She looked at him, eyes clear. "You saved me," she said. "Again," he whispered. She reached out and cupped his cheek. "No, this time, I wanted to live." In the silence of the old ship, among ruins and rust, something powerful bloomed. Hope, not given by science or orders, but by care, by hands that refused to let go. The desert sky was painted in gold and violet as the sun dipped low. Inside the broken starship, quiet moments passed between Jace and Star. She sat cross-legged near the ship's wide window, the first time she'd sat without trembling. Her eyes followed the light stretching over the sand like a living memory. Jace walked in with a warm cup and sat beside her. "You ever seen a sunset before?" he asked. Star shook her head. "Where I came from, the light was always white, cold, never soft like this." She sipped slowly, her fingers no longer shaking. "You're stronger now," Jace said, watching her. She looked at him, calm and certain. "Because you believed I could be." That night, they lay close, no longer out of fear, but comfort. And still in the deep silence, Star spoke. "I used to think I existed for one purpose, to be useful, to create life for others." Her voice was soft. "But now I understand something else. Life is not something they take. It's something I give. When I choose." Jace stayed quiet. He felt her hand reach for his under the blanket. "I choose. You, Jace." His heart beat faster. "You don't have to say that," he said. "I'm not saying it because I have to. I'm saying it because I want to." Their peace didn't last long. A sharp beeping from the corner of the room broke the silence. Jace stood up fast. His scanner blinked. Enemy signal detected. One ship. Small fast. Closing in. "They're back," he muttered. Star rose behind him, calm. "They won't stop." "Then we won't hide," he said. Jace pulled on his tool belt and handed Star the flare gun. "No more running," he said. "If they want to take you, they'll have to go through me." Star looked at the weapon, then back at him. "No," she said. He blinked. "No?" "They'll go through us." The collector ship landed near the wreck. Dust rose as its legs extended and the ramp lowered. Only one figure stepped out. A tall alien woman in jet-black armor. Her face was smooth, empty, flawless, like something printed, not born. "Sample 712, she said without emotion. "Ed, you are ordered to return. You are now compatible and required for high birth production." Star stepped forward, standing tall beside Jace. "I'm not your sample anymore." The collector didn't flinch. "You were never meant to choose." "But I'm choosing now," Star said. Jace raised the flare gun. "Back off." The alien looked at him. "A human, defective species, no breeding value." Star's voice turned sharp. "Say another word about him," she warned, "and I'll show you what defect really looks like." Suddenly, Star moved, faster than Jace had ever seen. She lunged at the armored figure, grabbing her weapon hand and twisting it sideways. Sparks flew as metal shattered. The collector fell back, stunned. "You don't own me," Star growled. "You never did." With a hard push, she threw the alien to the ground. Jace rushed in and pulled her back. "That's enough." Star breathed hard, then looked at him. "I'm done being their tool." Later, as the enemy ship flew away, damaged and beaten, Star sat with Jace on the ship's edge. "They'll return," she said. "Let them," Jace replied. "Next time we won't just hide, we'll fight." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I've been called broken, empty, useless, but with you, I feel full." Jace smiled. "You're not broken. You're just you." Star's eyes shimmered in the moonlight. "I used to whisper, 'Don't leave me,' because I was scared." "And now?" he asked. "Now I say it because I found something worth holding on to." She placed her hand over his chest. "My future is in your heartbeat. I choose you, human. Again and again. The wreck may have been old. The land may have been empty. But in that forgotten place, an alien girl, once left to die and a human with nothing to offer, had found everything. Together.